Hey, I'm Scott Kunes, and welcome to Kunes Car Convos. I'm here today with NFL Hall of Famer and UW-Wisconsin Badger alumni Joe Thomas. We're going to be taking a ride in his Ford Lightning. Got to first probably back out safely.
That's right.
We're in the all-new Ford Lightning, and Joe, you've been driving this for a little bit. How do you like it?
I love this car. I'm an evangelizer. All my buddies that are asking me, hey, they see the car, obviously it looks really sharp and it looks a little bit different than a regular F-150, and then they realize it's the Lightning. And they're like, what do you think about it? Give me your honest feedback. I'm like, dude, I love it. I mean, obviously being one of I think it's their first generation.
Yep.
There's probably a few tweaks that'll happen between now and a couple of years down the road, but I'm like, it's the smoothest riding vehicle I've ever been in, and that includes like Cadillacs and sedans and like your high-end European luxury vehicles. It's big and roomy. I think some cars, especially like SUVs and truck companies in the last it seems like 5 years ago, they all kind of went to like a smaller interior, maybe a smaller box with like smaller seats, and as a big guy, I did not like that change. But these Ford Lightnings on the inside are super roomy, ultra comfortable. You can hear how quiet they are.
Yeah.
There's like no noise obviously from your engine, but whatever they did to keep everything quiet on the interior inside here is incredible. And my son, he loves driving it. Like, he's going to football practice telling all his buddies, like, yeah, my dad's F-150 Lightning, you gotta come ride in it, it's so cool. So
that's always the biggest thing, is having your kids like
that's right.
when they're bragging about it.
Yeah. I'm adding to the coolness factor, which for me, with the kids, it starts at zero. You know how that is as a dad. So to help just a little bit, having a sweet ride, I'm all for it.
So how are you enjoying your retirement? What are you filling your time with these days?
Yeah, I love retirement because it's given me freedom of my schedule,
Sure.
which you never had when you were playing football, because they tell you what time to show up, and then they tell you what time to go to the bathroom, then what time to eat lunch, and then you go home and it's 6 o'clock and you eat dinner and go to bed. So for me to be able to do flag football coaching with my son, to go out to my farm and work with our cattle, to be able to have other business ventures, to be able to give back to the communities here in Wisconsin and Ohio, to be a dad full-time, to work a little bit with NFL media and still stay close to the NFL game. It's been just so fun to be able to have that freedom to kind of chase little passions that you've had when you were playing, but you're never able to find the time to do it.
Yeah, speaking of passions, you're into barbecue, and I understand you just got some Wagyu cattle?
I did, yes.
That's
yes.
Awesome.
We were texting a couple months ago, right? 4th of July-ish, where you did a Wagyu brisket.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that was the inspiration, but that definitely put me over the top, where I said,
I'm glad I could be a part of it.
Yeah, I said, we really need to add some Wagyu genetics to our herd, because we're kind of developing our own breed of Six Springs Farm Hall of Fame beef, obviously with a nod to my football career, but trying to say we're eliminating all barriers to building the best genetic tasting beef on earth. Like, I don't care what the cost is, because our herd is small and I'm eating most of it. So I just want to make sure it's the best stuff possible. So we've got Angus Simmental cross, and then now we added 8 Wagyu heifers.
That's awesome.
And then we're going to kind of just pick out our best animals and then continue to just try to build the best beef we can.
That's awesome. And then you're also a partner in Mission Barbecue, right?
That's right.
So barbecue's a passion for you, huh?
That's right. It's funny how in retirement I was saying I was able to chase passions, and most of my passions are food, the family, and kind of football and sports. And so we've got the Mission Barbecue restaurants. I just became a partner in a New York style bagel restaurant called Gotham Bagels in Madison.
Awesome.
And then I've got my cattle that we're going to start selling the meat this winter around like Christmas time, that I'm really excited about that. So chasing my belly, not only when I was playing, but then in retirement.
That's awesome. And you have the ability to do all those passionate things, and that's always fun. That's what makes it all worth it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that, generally speaking, I got out of the game more healthy than most guys that played 11 years.
Which is incredible, because you have the record for the most consecutive
That's
snaps,
right, that's right. So 10 and a half years, never missed a play.
That's
and I tore my tricep tendon and was out, retired. But I felt like it was a good time for me because now I have the opportunity, and I feel so blessed to be able to chase those other passions that I had when I was playing, but you just don't have time when you're in the NFL.
Yeah. So, I think throughout your entire career, I mean, maybe later into your career for sure, everybody talked about Hall of Famer Joe Thomas. I mean, it was almost a shoo-in, right? But it had to be a pretty special moment for you.
There's no doubt, because even though when you retire you feel like you've done enough, there's still always that little bit of doubt that's in your mind, and knowing how important it is, not only for you personally to get sort of a little bit of that satisfaction of kind of a pat on the back, job well done, you reached the mountaintop, but I knew how important it was for my family, how cool it would be for my kids who didn't really have a lot of memories of me playing because they were so little when I played.
Sure.
But also for the Badger community, being the third Badger going into the Hall of Fame, for the Browns and the Ohio community. Like, I felt, it wasn't a pressure, but I felt like for me as a lineman, my thing that always made me the happiest was making my coaches proud, making sure my teammates were proud of the job I did to help serve them to become the best players that they can be. And then now in retirement to be able to get that Hall of Fame nod where I have so many Badger fans walking around in Madison or throughout the state saying, thank you, we're so proud of you, congratulations. That just makes me feel like it's all worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it is a huge thing for the Madison community with that, and you're a big part of that. What, you were born and raised in Wisconsin, right?
I was. So I grew up in Brookfield, right outside of Milwaukee.
Oh, awesome. And then, so you think any of those Midwestern values helped you there?
Oh, just a little bit. Just a little bit. I talked about it a little bit in my Hall of Fame speech, obviously. Yeah. Talking about mom and dad and kind of the things I learned from them. My dad was Mr. Reliable, He was the original Iron Man, I tell him, because I think it was like 20 years he never missed a day of work. And,
really?
Didn't matter if it was snowing outside or if it was 100 like it was a couple days ago. Like, he just showed up, and it was just how I learned to be reliable and to be somebody that everybody could count on. And then my mom, she was a perfectionist, and she kind of taught me those values. And of course that came from their parents and from being raised in these great communities in Wisconsin that have those blue collar values, those family values based around, their faith and their family and their communities. And I mean, that's what being an offensive lineman is all about, right? It's
that is
the community you have on the line, the community you have with your teammates, and then
outside it's a unit. I played offensive line in high school a little bit in college, not of course at your level.
Hall of Fame, it may be coming still. The voting hasn't happened.
I'm waiting for my call.
They're still tallying the votes.
Yeah, exactly. But it really is a kind of you're one unit, right? Yeah. You're just probably more so than most of the sports out there. It's like you have to work together so closely to make sure that the play goes off. It just really all starts with that offensive line. I'm not partial or anything.
Yeah, right, exactly. I know. Keep going. I want to hear more of this. Why offensive linemen are the best.
We're for sure the best. So Madison, what was your favorite thing about going to school in Madison, or your favorite place at Madison?
So the easy answer that everyone always says is the Terrace, right? The Union, because it's just so beautiful. It's a place unlike any other spot on any other campus in the country. And I've been fortunate enough to travel to a lot of the great campuses, and their college towns are beautiful across the country. Doesn't matter if you're north, south, east, or west. But there's something special about the Terrace, being right there on the shores of Lake Mendota with the Union chairs and the beers flowing and the music. And I got a chance to live there one summer just down the street, and we walked down there almost every night. But for me, it was the special drives that I would take from campus going to Camp Randall on game day. You'd see fans in red and white just coating the streets, people flowing out of houses, flowing out of front yards and bars, and that community atmosphere that a Badger game day has.
Sure. So this is a great time for this question then. Jump around. Is it worth the hype?
It is.
That's got to be the coolest thing when you're standing down there.
And playing in the NFL gives you so many cool opportunities to mix and mingle with guys that had different college experiences.
Sure.
And the two things I think that I heard more than anything when teammates would find out I was from Wisconsin was, one, how cool it was when they would play and hear jump around for the first time, because it does live up to the hype. And then the other thing was when we got to play at Lambeau Field, because it is, to me, the mecca of pro football. Obviously the history that's there, but the fact that it's still kind of the original structure and the original spot, whereas most other stadiums in pro football have built these palaces, outside of where they originally were, and they're beautiful and they're amazing. They're the best stadiums in the world, but there's still something about walking into Lambeau Field that gets you to your bones, that gives you a feeling, no matter how many years you played in the NFL,
The history
that's
of it
different.
all.
It's that history. You can feel Curly Lambeau, Vince Lombardi, Bart Starr.
So I'm guessing you grew up a Packer fan.
I did. Pretty diehard.
All right,
Yeah,
all
it's pretty
right,
diehard.
all right. Well, I grew up in Illinois, so I'm a Bears fan.
Probably not as much.
Uh-huh.
Soldier Field's nice though.
Yeah,
and
but
everything.
you know what?
Yeah.
I would still rather go to a game at Lambeau
Yeah.
than Soldier,
There's no
because
doubt.
Lambeau, you're right, that experience is just, it's pretty incredible. So, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment off the field?
For me, it's the pride that I have in the kids that my wife and I produced. They were way cooler and more fun than I was and my wife was, and so I think that obviously is like your boilerplate answer you give probably, but it's how I feel. I would say outside of the kids though, it's my opportunity to be able to give back in the communities that were so important to me in Wisconsin and then in Ohio. Giving back obviously directly with being involved with charities and direct donations, but being able to now have free time where I can start businesses that impact those communities and use some of the things that I learned throughout my sports career to try to help the kids that are growing up like I did in Brookfield, in Milwaukee, in Madison.
Sure.
We've got a bunch of youth performance training centers that are using the methods that I learned in the NFL and being able to help train those kids to be the best athletes they can possibly be, because I got a lot of pride in Wisconsin.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to see Wisconsin become one of those meccas for youth sports, for young athletes. And that's been really a lot of fun being involved with something like that.
So not just for offensive linemen.
Not just for
Right.
offensive linemen, because we're already there.
Yeah, we got that.
Wisconsin is
We got
already
that one.
offensive lineman university,
Uh-huh.
and it's crazy growing up in Waukesha County. When I was playing, there was a reasonable argument to be made that me and J.J. Watt were the two best offensive and defensive linemen of our little era. And then Travis Frederick was from Bigfoot,
Yep.
right down the road
from us.
where we are here. He was the best center in the NFL for a good stretch of time. Kevin Zeitler was a Pro Bowl guard, still playing. I can't believe the guy is still playing. But like, to see how many great linemen have come from the Madison, the Milwaukee, the Wisconsin area really gives us a lot of pride too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Eddie,
And Scott Kunes, of course.
Yeah, of course,
All right.
of course.
Although
Yeah,
you
so
didn't
that-
grow up here, and we're going to adopt you.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, thank you. I apprate that. The shout out. Honorable mention.
Yeah, honorable mention. Yes. Also deserving votes.
Yeah.
Scott Kunes.
Sorry, I lost my train. I thought you got me there.
Got
so
lost.
what,
Yeah, you're good.
if you could, obviously football's been a big part of your career, but or your life, but that's a window of time, right? What do you want your legacy to be off the field?
Mm-hmm. So I talked about it a little bit in my Hall of Fame speech, and my career and as an offensive lineman, our mindset is like, count on me, right? So that I can serve you guys to do your job the best. And I hope that my legacy when people look back is that I was the best teammate that person had ever been around.
Yeah.
The best servant that helped them do their job, that they never had to worry about that left tackle. The best compliment I ever would get from my offensive coordinators, which I had 9 of them, because we didn't have a lot of success, so we went through a lot of coaches.
I wasn't going to touch on
Yeah,
that.
thank you. I appreciate that. That was nice. I deleted that from the questions that they gave me. But the best compliment they ever gave to me was, it's always nice having you as my left tackle, because I know that on my playbook call sheets, I can just cross that guy off and I don't have to worry about it. And I can focus on the other 10 guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's at Kunes, we have our Kunes Cares core values, and the S stands for servant leadership, and I think it's something that we really try to, we don't always succeed.
Yeah.
It's hard. We're not perfect. We're still human beings. We're Christians, but we're, servant minded is so important to us that we really want to serve our employees and serve the communities. Selling cars, it's like football. It's a moment in time, right?
Yeah.
It's what we do for a living, but it's not what our legacy or our impact is. So then that's important, I think, is servant-minded leadership that you embody.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that kind of drew me to you when we met a few years ago at that Ducks Unlimited event, was like that servant-minded focus, because in retirement, trying to surround myself with people that have similar values is really important. And after having an opportunity to watch a lot of my former teammates retire before I did, and just kind of see what they did with their lives, and what was the next chapter, because you mentioned football is just a moment in time. Even if you're Tom Brady, you're retiring at 40, you got a whole life ahead of you, hopefully.
Right, still.
And what are you going to do with it? And if you just turn the focus to your own self-satisfaction, it's very hollow, and that joy of, hey, I'm retired and I'm 40, it runs out really quickly if it's not about something bigger than yourself.
Sure, absolutely. All right, so we're getting back here, lightning round. Favorite football player?
It was Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
Yeah, Reggie White and Brett Favre were my two guys.
All right, who was the hardest to block?
Wade Freeney and DeMarcus Ware.
Okay. Who was the dirtiest player?
Gosh, it's funny because usually the dirty guys are the ones that aren't quite good enough, and so they have to make it up by being a little bit dirty. But Ray Lewis once called me the dirtiest player he ever played against, because we were in the bottom of a pile, and they get a little bit dirty and rough at the bottom of a pile, and he had the ball, and I remember taking his fingers and trying to peel him away from the ball, and he was not happy about that, especially at the time. I think I was a rookie or a second year guy. That was not what you do to Ray Lewis.
It was not a guy I would want to piss off.
Didn't want to piss him off. I learned very quickly that you want to let the sleeping bear lie, and you don't want to tug on Superman's cape.
That's funny. Favorite band or musical artist?
So I grew up humongous Metallica fan.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. So I would say probably they're the ones, and Bob Marley, which I know they're not exactly the same genre, but I think that's probably why I was drawn to both, because if I'm training in the weight room or I'm getting ready for a game, it was always Metallica. But if I'm just chilling out at home, Bob Marley puts me in the right mindset.
First thing you do when you wake up?
I reach for that coffee. Yeah, I'm a big coffee drinker, as I can tell you are. You got the 75-ounce mug back here.
And you know what? That's just not coffee. That's like 4 shots of espresso.
Yeah. So what I said was coffee. What I meant was it's espresso.
Yeah.
It's usually my my double espresso, which is
exactly.
It's a full coffee mug, but it's all espresso.
Right. Yep. That's me too. Favorite food?
Barbecue. And if I had to pick one thing, it's that brisket, which I'm a little perturbed I didn't get the invite when you had that Wagyu on the smoker, but maybe next time.
Well, that was 4th of July. I think I did, but you had something
going. Maybe something was going on.
I invited you to Rib Fest too.
That's right. Ribs are pretty good.
Yeah, barbecue is just up there. That's up there. All right, well, Joe, we're getting back here. I appreciate it. Anything that you want to talk about with just the Wisconsin community at large, the Madison community?
Yeah, I'll say that the thing I think I appreciate the most coming back is because I lived in Ohio for 12 years and moved back to Wisconsin when I retired, is being home and being around people that have the same values. And it's interesting, even talking to Packers friends like Aaron Rodgers, and not a Packer anymore, but guys like that who have such a high profile and they can't go anywhere. But for some reason, the people in Wisconsin are so respectful of their space, and they treat you like family and like friends, even though they do see you as these superheroes. And it's just so cool being in a community that has those small town values, no matter if you're in Milwaukee, Madison, or if you're driving around in Delavan, or if you're out by my farm in Boscoville, Wisconsin.
Sure.
It feels like one big community that is all pulling the boat in the same direction.
Well, we're going to get this right up here into the quick charger, get you charged up so you can make it back.
Let's do
it. Joe, I really appreciate you taking the time, and I appreciate your partnership with Kunes. We're honored to have you as Walter Payton Man of the Year. When we look for players and spokespeople for our brand, we don't just try to focus. Obviously, you're a Hall of Famer, so that's an awesome thing. But we don't just try to focus on the accolades on the court. It's more about off the court, like we talked about, and you embody that, and you embody those Wisconsin values. And so we appreciate that very much. Happy to have you as a partner, and looking forward to many years to come.
Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate the partnership as well, and it's great being involved with a company that has values aligned with mine.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Joe.